Okay, so the title of this video may be a little clickbait. This may not be the best method to assembling one of these wheels and tires, but it's the best I've found, and I'm going to show you some tips and tricks I've learned along the way to make this a little easier. This applies to 1600s, 1400s, 395s, anything on an LMTV, 5-ton, that sort of thing. Anything with a bead lock and a two-piece wheel. Now I'm going to be showing you two different kinds of bead locks to do this on. The first is the solid rubber style. And what you want to do is use a ratchet strap and compress it down. The more you can compress it down, the easier it'll be to install. But one trick, you don't want to compress them and leave them sitting overnight, because that rubber will kind of hold the memory and you won't be able to get it round again. The other thing to pay attention to on these is they've got this, I don't know if it comes up in the camera, but it's got a kind of a slit down the middle. That has to line up with the valve stem on the rim, because that's what allows the air to flow through this little hole right here. So you've got to line those two up. I'm not going to be showing you how to install this one today, just a trick on being able to get it in. You don't really need any special tools. I'm going to be using bead ease, but you can use soap and water, and then some sort of tire soap. So get some of that. That makes the install a lot easier. The only other special tool you'll need is a high lift jack. You guys should all have one of these anyway. These are super handy. You use them for much more than just lifting up a vehicle. The only other thing you'll need, I've got roof trusses above me. You need something above you that can hold a couple 100 pounds, and you'll see that later. So get the tire set up here. Get a 5-gallon bucket and make sure it's a sturdy one down below. And what you're going to want to do is put the jack in the bead and use it to expand the bead. Now, I've used bottle jacks in the past. The problem is bottle jacks don't like to work horizontal. They only want to be vertical. And so this is much better, and it opens the bead up a lot bigger. The 5-gallon bucket also supports the jack so the tire doesn't fall over. Now, like I said, I'm not going to install this one today, but what you do now is coat this in the tire soap, because the rubber on rubber just won't slide. And you can basically, with tire soap on it, get it in there, hit it one time with your boot, it'll fall in, then you take the ratchet strap out. I'll show you a little bit more on that in a sec. But for today, I'm going to be installing this Hutchington, the split style. You can see it's already got kind of a twist to it, because that's how you pull them out, kind of like a corkscrew. And it's been a while since I've done this, so bear with me, but I like to put a little piece of carpet down, and this stuff kind of stains. Okay, so bead lock's in. You want to rotate it around so you still get the jack out. And then reverse the jack. We're done with the jack, so we're going to put this to the side. Okay, bead lock's in. Now we've got to bolt those two split parts together. That's just a 9/16. Now we've got to drop the tire. Well, I didn't line it up right, but all right, now you'll see where having something above you will help. So I'm using just these straps, but they've got a good hook on it, and that really bites into the rubber. And this is probably the best trick I can show you because it makes aligning the bead lock a lot easier. Now we got some weight off it. What it'll do, it starts to pull the bead apart so you can move the bead lock around a little bit. Okay, then just make sure it's perfectly centered because the second you release these, it's locked in, it's not going to go anywhere. I don't know how well you can see that, but the bead lock's now centered, so we're going to drop the rim in. Now I've already greased this. This rim has already been cleaned. I've wire brushed the threads, and I've put grease all around the O-ring groove. I've also greased the O-ring. And I like to put them in now because I find it's too hard to do once you've got the tire on. And of course I got a bunch of grease on me now. This is a messy job. Now this one doesn't matter as much where you position the valve stem in that split, but you want air to be able to pass in between the bead lock and the big area of the tire. So now, take the rim, set it in there. This is where it gets real messy. Now I take some tire soap, put it all on the rim, because this rim is going to want to slide on the tire as you're installing it. And if it's not lubed up, the rubber on metal makes it hard for it to slide around. From here on out, it's just a mess. So spray it down. Again, this could be soapy water. And that'll fight you sometimes. And what it is, it's that you'll see there's the brass nut for the air inlet. It gets stuck on the tire just a little bit. All right. worse than others, and of course the one I choose to film is going to give me problems. Alright, so it's that nut that's holding us up. There we go. So what I did is I put that nut so it went in first. Now you've got the rim in there. Now you got to pick the whole thing up, and I got to have clean hands for that. Because what you don't want to do now is flip the whole thing over and have the rim fall out of the bottom. So that's where the 5-gallon bucket comes in. And again, have a sturdy bucket and have it empty or full of sand or something. Because if it's full of paint or oil and you crush it, it's going to go everywhere. You can't see it here, but the O-ring pushed out, so. That's something to pay attention to, because if that O-ring doesn't seat, you're going to assemble this whole thing and have to pull it apart. Alright, so that wasn't so bad, but just eyeball it and make sure that that O-ring's fully seated. Now there's some discussion on using anti-seize on the perimeter nuts or not. I like to do it. The nuts that come on the MTVR are a locking nut, almost like a stover nut, and so they don't require on torque to hold them, to keep them from coming loose. So, and if you ever have to disassemble this, this makes it much easier. Now, you're not supposed to use anti-seize on the lug nut because the lug nut uses torque to hold it from coming loose. Again, these are lock nuts, and so they don't rattle loose. The only bad side with this, you know, if you get it on you, it goes everywhere, so just know that you're going to be getting dirty doing this. And now you can't forget, you have to put more tire soap, because as the ring of the rim starts to push down, the metal on rubber, it's going to start pinching stuff. Okay, just verify that O-ring is not moved, because it's much easier to fix now than disassemble the whole. See, mine's moved. It still could move on you, and you might have to disassemble it. I'm being cheap and reusing an O-ring. So it looks like the cross section of it looks like it's a triangle. Probably shouldn't do that, but put your 12 nuts on. Again, I've gone through and cleaned the threads on these. Okay, again, this is pretty universal to most military bolt-together wheels. The MTVR is a little different. It's got the CTIS bracket for the wheel valve. That's got to be done a little bit different. So, hang on just a sec. Okay, I had to verify where one of these takes a real thick special washer, and it is I guess if you're going clockwise, it is 2 counterclockwise from the wheel valve. That one you've got to put a spacer down, this real thick washer. So we don't bolt that one down just yet, but the rest we can. Okay, I'm going to put some ear protection in and torque these down with an impact. Well, those are dead. One thing special to the MTVR is, again, where your CTIS valve bolts up. I don't know how well it comes up in the camera right here. The nut immediately to 1 counterclockwise. I don't know if you can see the red paint. You have to torque that one down all the way now because the bracket basically goes over it. You can get a little bit of engagement up with the socket, but not enough. So. I've got my torque wrench already set to 450. Now I'm going to torque all these on the truck, but it's much easier to do when it's mounted on the truck than sitting here on the ground trying to do it. So we're going to torque just this one to 450. It's still on the tire, on the bucket. Now the fun part. so that one's torqued. So now that that one's torqued, we can put on CTIS bracket. I don't know if you can see better now that this fits over the stud. Remember, you've got to have your washer here. And you can still get to it a little bit with threads, but not enough. So, with a socket. So we'll put this one on. And I'll torque that, like I said, once it's on the truck. The actual wheel valve itself can go on next. You cannot bolt this bracket on with the valve. So I'm going to take just a little bit of anti-seize and put on the threads of the valve stem. That takes a 3/4 inch. And it's tight to do because you got all these studs in the way. All right, these are just Allen head bolts. Again, anti-seize. I put anti-seize on everything when I reassemble it because I hate dealing with rusty hardware. That takes a 1/4 drive Allen socket. All right, now I'm going to air this up, but I'm only going to air it up to about, I don't know, 20, 25 pounds. Just enough to check for leaks. I'll air it fully up on the truck. I don't have a tire cage. If this thing blows, I don't want to be anywhere near it, and I want it to be bolted and secured to something. And then I've got one of the auto locking. I had one. All right, my glove was getting stuck. So we'll thread this on. Now's where you say a little prayer to make sure that your O-ring was seated, because taking this all apart sucks. Now I'm going to stand back in case something bad happens, but now it usually won't leak from the back side, but it will where the O-ring face is, so now's the time to hit it with some of this. All right, I'll pause this and come back. All right, so I gave you some bad advice there. I don't know if you can see it now, but you won't be able to. So this is the inlet to let air into the tire. This is the one I told you to torque them both. Now that the wheel valve is installed, you simply can't get a socket on there at all. So what I'm going to do, actually we'll just do it now. You don't have to take the whole thing apart. You can just unbolt the wheel valve and get it out of the way just enough. By the way, these are not 1 5/16". They're 33 millimeter, and you need a deep socket. Can't do them with a, well, you could try it with a shallow socket. It just doesn't work all that well. So anyway, like I said, torque. If you're going counterclockwise, torque. Go ahead and torque the first and the second nut from the valve. All right, so that's 450. So now, like I said, I'm going to retorque those all on the truck. It's just not worth doing, trying to hold the tire from rolling around. Okay, and so I aired this up to 30 pounds. It's still holding 30. I'll check it again. I'm not going to mount this today. I'm going to check it again tomorrow. What I'm going to do now is take it outside and rinse all this crap off. I'm going to try to take you off the tripod here and get a better look. So I don't know how much you can get in there and see, but that tire soap will kind of ooze out and gives you a nice bead. If there is a leak, it'll start to bubble through there. But because it's so thick, it takes some time. So here is the two. Here's the valve stem. You've got to torque this one and this one because you can see you can't get a socket in there. And now that I got the camera handheld on the one piece bead lock, yeah, you can see that slit right here. You've got to line that up, this whole slit. You've got to line it up. Let me come around the other side. You have to line it up with this in this way, because otherwise you'll pinch that and you'll never get air in the tire, and you'll sit there wondering why. Anyway, what's this, 32 minutes? So if anyone's got that beat, post a video up on it. Hope that helps. Thanks.